Good morning and welcome to day 12 of our meditations together. Let's go ahead and drop in. All right, so let yourself land in a chair, on the floor, on the bed, sitting outside on the ground, wherever you happen to be today. Go ahead and start registering the surface that you're sitting on. Let yourself feel into the qualities of whatever that is. So for me, it's a chair. I can feel how it's soft. It's a desk chair, so there's this leather surface, but underneath is there are steel bars that are really solid that I know can hold my weight. And then I can feel how it's really resting firmly on the surface of the carpet. And underneath that, there's concrete. How do I know? Because we pulled up the carpet recently. I saw the concrete. Underneath that, the dirt of the surface of the earth on which our house is built. And underneath that, we actually live near the top of a hill, and so I can see how far down the ground goes because the street at the bottom of our private drive is a lot lower than the level of this house. So it's easy for me to visualize roots growing from the legs of the chair that I'm sitting on, straight down through the concrete, all the way down through the layers of the dirt underneath my home, and then all the way down to the dirt underneath the road, which is a lower level than the house. So for me, visualizing and feeling the root system is fairly simple because it's so easy to see with my house and how everything is situated. So take a moment for yourself, wherever you are, and then imagine how you can get the surface that you're sitting on close to the ground. So if you're in a high-rise apartment, you might want to imagine you can just sort of pull out all the floors underneath you and drop your floor right down to the ground. If you're on a field, if you're laying outside in the ground under a tree or by a tree, it's really easy, right? You can feel perhaps physical tree roots underneath your bottom or your back if you're laying down. So just tune into wherever you are, and then imagine and visualize that you can get yourself as close to the earth as possible in this moment. Yeah. Why do you want to do that? Because being grounded and rooted in allows you to be fully present in this moment. It allows your body to register that you are a human having this experience on a physical world that has gravity that pulls and tugs you down, and that the earth on which we live has an abundance, an ever-increasing supply of the resources that we need for our bodies to stay alive. So there's enough air, there's enough water, there's enough food, right? And perhaps we have stories or concerns or fears that that's not always going to be the case. But in this moment, in this physical moment right now, gravity has you present, has you supported. The earth is stable underneath your feet. There's air for you to breathe. I would imagine you're fairly close to a glass of water if you need it, or some form of food. Right? So in this moment, all is well. And by connecting to the earth and rooting in, you remind yourself that this moment right here is what you are living in, and all is well. Yeah, so imagine the roots can really sink deep, deep down into the earth. If you're sitting in a chair, the chair legs and your physical feet on the floor can all become roots that go down deep. If you're laying on the ground or on your bed, you can imagine roots can grow from any part of your body that is connected to the bed surface or to the floor of the ground. And there's lots of roots, right? You could have hundreds of roots, thousands of roots going from your body straight down into the ground. Good. And in this moment, what are you ready to release from your body? So several people I've already spoken with this morning, they're saying, I feel stuck, things feel heavy, there's this shadow or this darkness that I'm feeling. Yeah, so maybe we take a moment and start exactly where we are. So if that's you, if you have a match to that and something feels burdensome or heavy in your system, go ahead and bring your attention to that place in your body or that thought in your mind. Or perhaps it's a picture of something. You know, right now, so many people are preparing taxes or having business strategy meetings, or children are preparing for exams. So there are these very heavy sounding or feeling experiences going on. So imagine you can just bring that experience right next to you. So if you're sitting in a chair, pull a chair up next to you in your imagination and plant that thing, that heavy, that shadow, that weight firmly in the chair right next to you. If you're laying on the bed, you can imagine just letting that experience or that heaviness just lay right next to you. And if that feels intense, you can put a tiny boundary or border between you and that thing. But for right now, see if you can just notice in your body what happens when you're just with the shadow. You're still here. You're still in this moment. You're still breathing air. Your body's still rooted into the ground. You may have left your body for a moment energetically. If that's the case, come back in, come back down. We're just playing with energy right now. Nothing's going to bite and jump out at you. So come back into your rooted body. Yeah, that thing that feels so scary it's just next to you. It hasn't overtaken you or pushed you to the ground. I don't think. It doesn't feel like it has. Yeah, so just focus on your body right now and how you're feeling, on what's going on in your physical space. Anything that feels overwhelming or has a charge to it. Perhaps there's a lot of fear or some anger, some frustration. Often for me, it's self-frustration. You know, like, why do I make that thing such a big deal when really it isn't, right? It's just a meeting or it's just a conversation. But in my mind, I let it get so big and so scary. Yeah, so if there's a charge or an energy that feels intense, it's an energy. We've practiced this so many times. Imagine you can just run that energy down through your body. If you're sitting in a chair, you can run it all the way down to your feet and then just down into the earth through the root system. Yeah, if you're laying on the bed, you can just imagine all of the roots just suddenly realize, oh, wait, something intense is going on in this physical body. We're just going to allow the root system to start pulling that intense feeling, the fear, the anxiety, the anger, whatever it is. The roots are just going to slowly start pumping from the earth and pull some of that resistance or fear out of your space and down into the earth. Why? Because the earth recycles. It regenerates. It takes that which is waste, brings it into all of the properties of the earth, and it recreates, it regenerates something that is powerful and I don't want to use the label good, but is empowering, is healing. Healing feels like the right word. So it takes waste and it creates healing. My favorite visual for that is the ocean water, because the ocean has salt in it, and salt is a healing agent. Yeah, so just imagine anything that wants to move in this moment. You could hear it in my throat, right? Just go ahead and run it down to your feet and then out into the earth. Yeah, and then check back in with that thing that was so big a moment ago. You might have to do this a few times if it was really big, right? You might have to sit here and kind of do that process again. So let me feel what's happening in my body. Let me see what images come to mind or what that big scary thing brings up in me. Let me feel that emotion and then run it down through my legs to my feet, out into the earth. Yep, and let it just be energy that moves. Yeah, and then check back in with that thing. So it may already have dissipated, or it may have just shrunk down where perhaps it was a boulder and now it's like a little pebble. Yeah, so you may have to pause if it feels really large, and just keep doing this process, right? So see what it feels like in your body, run the energy down to the earth, and then come back and check in with the size of that energetic thing next to you. When you feel like you've got it down to something that's, it can be picked up with your hand perhaps, right? It's just a small feeling or energy or object. Then go ahead and do that. Imagine you can just lean over if it's on the bed next to you or the chair next to you. You can pick it up. You can hold it in your hand. So let's say it was a meeting, right? We're talking about taxes, for example. Let's say it's a meeting with your tax person, or you're completing the forms and you have to submit them. So before it might have felt scary, heavy, huge. And now you pick it up, it's like, oh, it's just a paper. It's just a paper that I'm going to have to sign. I've put my energy into it. I've assigned value to it because it's money, for example. Right? But it's just an experience or a moment in this full, huge life that I'm living. It's just one tiny thing that is going to occur in my day or my week or my month or my year. So now let's transmute it. Let's shift the vibration of it. So before it felt big and scary, now let's hold it in your hand. So for me, I'm visualizing like a pebble. So perhaps I had a big boulder before. It felt really big before, the energy. Now it's this small little pebble, perhaps the size of my palm or smaller. And now imagine you can start being playful with it. So first, let's really plant your feet again. Let your body feel rooted here in this moment. Yep, root down deep. So go a mile down, and then a mile, 5 miles wide in the root system underneath your physical body. Yep, go another 5 miles down into the earth. And then go 50 miles out in a web. There you go. In a web radiating out from underneath your body. All right, now hold that little rock, that little pebble. It's so lightweight, isn't it? Yeah, imagine you can start playing with it, perhaps like you did when you were a child and you had rocks and you were playing with them by the ocean or by the river. You just feel the sensation of the rock, how smooth it is. Perhaps it's cool if it's been sitting in the water or sitting next to you in the shade of a chair. So just feel the vibration of it. Yep. Throw it up in the air and catch it. And then start to put into this experience or meeting or whatever is being represented in that little rock, start putting into it the vibration of surprising and delightful. Yeah, and they feel important to go together. You could have surprising and dreadful, but that wouldn't be so fun. So surprising and delightful. What if you were to put those qualities into the rock? So, for example, if I had a rock that felt like it would be surprising and delightful, I would imagine I could stand at the edge of a lake and I could skim the rock across the water and it would be perfect. I've never been able to do the skipping of rocks, by the way, but if I could, and I was a super amazing rock skipper, I could imagine throwing it out across the water, and this rock would surprise and delight me by coming right back into my hand. And then I could skip it out again, and it would come right back into my hand again. So do you see how I put in the qualities of surprising and delightful into this experience, and I hold it in my hand and I match the vibration of it. I put that energy into this thing that I want to create. So for example, if we're talking about taxes, right? Before it feels heavy and scary and, oh, what's going to happen? Now, when I'm holding the rock and I imagine just skipping it out over the water, I can sign my tax form with my tax person and they could surprise and delight me with a refund instead of having to pay, right? Or you think of another example. Let's say you have a meeting with somebody that you've been nervous about, or you're creating something in your business and there's a very important meeting that you're going to have. So you can feel the fear of what if it doesn't go well? What if it's not going to be the outcome I want? What if I don't get that thing that would be so fun, right? So you transmute that energy into this little rock, this pebble. What would be surprising and delightful about that meeting? Yeah, it could be a conversation with your partner or your child. What would surprise and delight you in that conversation? Yeah, and feel it. Feel it in your body, right? So for me, it's like I start smiling and my heart gets really big and open, and then I just want to love everybody, right? There's like this expansion in your physical space that feels awesome. Yeah, so keep your feet rooted in the ground so that you can anchor it into this moment, this here now experience. Feel the rooting. And then bring in the quality again of surprising and delightful. Yeah, do you see how it just happens? Like your heart just starts to open? Yeah, for me it's like my energetic body feels like it gets bigger than my physical body. Like I could hold so much, right? So much goodness could arrive. Yeah, so pick another one. Pick another one right now. What is something else that has felt big and heavy? Yep. You can visualize it sitting in the chair next to you. Yeah, you actually can get faster and faster at this process. So feel how you have the fear. You're supposed to be scared of it. It's supposed to be heavy. Maybe it does feel heavy. And then you just run those emotions down through your body to your legs, to your feet, down into the earth. And do that as many times as you need to until you've shrunk that big scary thing. You imagine picking it up when it's small enough for you to hold it in your hand. Yeah, and then you get to play. And then you get to play and experience what would be surprising and delightful about that thing. So for example, I had a friend tell me that she has this guy she started to date and she's actually scared. What if it's the real thing? What if she really, really, really likes him? What if they end up being, this beautiful big love? Then what happens? Yeah, imagine holding the possibility of that in your hands. Like, what if you are surprised and delighted with the most amazing relationship you could ever have believed possible? Ground yourself in, ground your feet all the way into the earth. And hold the vibration of that in your body. What if life brings you pure, blissful love? And because you're grounded in you and you're solid and you're happy already, it's a surprise. It's a delight. It's not something you have to have that feels heavy. It's a gift. It's a beautiful expansion of your heart. Yeah, and then see how your body can actually hold that vibration because you're grounded and you're feeling all of that in your body. Yeah, so good. We could play this game all day long. This is one of my favorite things to imagine and experience. For now, let's imagine you can just put that experience or thing that you were holding in your hand, you can just send it out into the heart of the universe, out to source, out to God, whatever your belief is. You can imagine just releasing that as something that you are willing to receive back. Yep. And then any last emotions that feel overwhelming or tense or stressful in your body, just go ahead and run them all the way down through your legs to your feet, out into the earth. Good. And then I'm going to wrap up my part, but I encourage you, stay in this space. If the big scary thing next to you needs to be shrunk down, take the time, do the process, sit with it, be with it, feel the emotions, and then run them down and out through your body. If you need support, reach out to your friends, your family, a coach. Like, don't feel like you have to suffer through that part by yourself. But if you keep sitting with the thing and letting it transmute and process and feel and run out those emotions, what will come after that is expansion and healing. And then surprising and delightful opportunities await. Yeah. Whew. So much love from my heart to yours.